Some things are older than science, older than God. The earth has its own secrets.
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, where I cover vampires, werewolves, and other supernatural creatures. In this video we're going to look at The Boys from County Hell. This is a horror movie that came out in 2020. We follow a crew of road workers led by a father and son. While doing some construction on the town, they disturb something ancient buried below the earth. Let's take a look at The Boys from County Hell and the ancient vampire known as the Abhartach. If you enjoy videos about vampires and other supernatural creatures, leave a like and subscribe for new videos every week. The movie follows a widowed father and son, Francie and Eugene. Francie owns a roadwork company and they've been hired to build a road through the town of 6 Mile Hill. The problem is this road will be putting a family out of their home. The road will also be going through one of the town's most popular landmarks, the Cairn. A cairn is a pile of rocks that usually marks a grave. We'll learn why it's so important soon. A couple from Canada have traveled to town to see the Cairn. They're having a drink at the local bar named The Stoker, an obvious reference to Bram Stoker, the author of Dracula. This bar is also a reference to the slaughtered lamb from American Werewolf in London. The sign on the outside of the Stoker even bears a resemblance to the sign on the slaughtered lamb. Eugene is low on cash, so he asks the couple if they are headed out to the Cairn. He plans to act as their tour guide. The man sarcastically replies, "Why, are you going to tell us to stay off the moors?" This is another reference to an American Werewolf in London.
This is Ireland, lad. There aren't any moors.
The couple agree to pay Eugene to take them to the Cairn. While walking through the field, Eugene tells them the legend of the Abhartach. He says most people don't even know Bram Stoker was Irish, or that he got his inspiration here. This land belonged to something evil named Abhartach. He would drain people's blood and drink it like water. Locals tried to kill him, and he just kept rising, looking for more. The Abhartach is undead. It was slain by a chieftain called Cairn. He stabbed him through the heart and buried him under the Cairn. Eugene says, "Someone from our town killed the first vampire and we don't even get any credit." But since then, no one has been brave enough to remove the stones. Some people say if you get close enough, you will spontaneously start bleeding.
The story of Abhartach is the first story ever written down about a blood-drinking creature.
In the movie, they say Stoker traveled to the town of 6 Mile Hill and soon after released his novel, Dracula. William says if you can get close enough to the stones, you can hear it. The tourist approaches the stones, and right when he puts his ear up to the Cairn, Eugene's friend jumps out and scares him. The tourist is rightfully a bit angry at this prank and the couple leave. I want to talk about the real legend of the Abhartach for a second. It's true that Bram Stoker was Irish, but it's never been 100% confirmed if he got inspiration from the legend of the Abhartach. Although many people believe he at least got some ideas from this creature given its many similarities to Dracula. Eugene talks about how the Abhartach was slain, but we never learn how it was created. Abhartach means dwarf. The legend says he was a magician and a dreadful tyrant around the 5th century. This means today he would be around 1500 years old. The people in the surrounding villages lived in fear and wanted him gone. Eventually, a local chieftain killed the creature and buried it standing up. All seemed well until the creature came back to life, stronger and angrier than before. It began to terrorize Ireland once again. The chieftain killed the creature again and buried it, only for the Abhartach to rise a second time. Confused by the mysterious creature that won't die, the chieftain consults with a druid. In some versions of this tale, the chieftain is told to bury the creature face down. This will block its magical abilities. In another version of the story, the chieftain is told to bury the Abhartach and then place a stone on the grave. The movie uses a cairn instead of a large stone, but the result is the same. The chieftain had to place a stone on the grave to hold down the Abhartach, which means it's not actually dead. It seems there's no way to actually kill an Abhartach, so burying it alive is the only option. This story eventually turned to myth in the town of 6 Mile Hill. Today, people don't believe in the Abhartach, and the Cairn is nothing but a tourist attraction. The following night, Eugene, William, and SP go to the Stoker. We hear that William's father has a bull and it keeps escaping. I'm sure that won't come into play later. After a long night of drinks, William and Eugene are going to walk home. They decide to take the shortcut through the field with the Cairn. William has had too many drinks and the two get into a fight. Eugene barely reacts and says, "Not this again." So it sounds like William does this often. Eugene accidentally pushes William into the Cairn and he cuts himself on one of the stones. As they are having a laugh and making up, they hear William's father yelling frantically, "Get out of the field. Suddenly, a bull comes charging out of the dark and pins William to the cairn and kills him. His father comes running into the field only to see his son is dead. When Eugene looks down, he sees the blood being sucked into the ground. This clearly weirds him out, but he dismisses it for now. For some reason, the town blames Eugene for William's death. Him and Christian are even banned from the Stoker for apparently getting William killed, and because they work for the road company that's putting in the bypass. I don't really understand how William's death has anything to do with Eugene. His dad was the one that let the bull escape.
Nah, you know what? I wouldn't drink the piss in here anyway.
The road crew is beginning work on the bypass, and the cairn is the first thing that needs to go. But before they begin, William's father arrives. He is very angry and asks Eugene what he saw that night, and to leave the cairn alone. Why would William's father ask if Eugene's seen something strange? Unless maybe he's seen something as well. I did mention this before, but he is the one who is losing his home because of the road, and his son is gone, so his whole life has been turned upside down. They begin work, and Eugene knocks over the cairn. SP is disappointed a vampire didn't jump out to bite them. The first day, nothing strange happens, and the crew goes home. Everyone except Charlie. He's in charge of watching the site overnight to make sure no one breaks in or steals anything. Later that night, he's having a drink and hears a loud bang outside. He goes outside thinking it's someone trying to sabotage the equipment. However, we see someone sneak into the trailer behind him. When Charlie goes back into the trailer, we hear him scream and blood splatter on the window. The next day, when the crew arrives, the cairn has been rebuilt. Did the Abhartach kill Charlie and then restack the rocks? Maybe. I was expecting them to find the body, but it's gone. The Abhartach does absorb blood, so maybe that's why there's no evidence. They worked the whole day while yelling for Charlie. They assume he just got too drunk and passed out somewhere. At the end of the night, as Eugene is about to go home, Charlie finally shows up.
Dead on, Francie.
Charlie doesn't sound so good, and Eugene realizes something is wrong. His father tells him to take Charlie to get checked out. They get into the truck, and before they even make it off the site, Charlie tries to bite Eugene and they crash the truck. His father runs over to see if they're okay, but Charlie is gone. They start walking around looking for him, and the lights start going out one by one until they're in the dark. While shouting out for Charlie, suddenly something grabs one of the workers from the dark. SP says, "Is that Charlie? Did you see how fast he moved?" Since Eugene crashed the truck, they start looking around for the keys to the dumper when Charlie attacks them again. He's now gone fully feral, not speaking any words. That means it took him about 24 hours to fully turn. Claire stakes Charlie through the heart with a metal pole, and he stops fighting. They go outside to tell everyone that they killed Charlie, but just then, he walks out of the trailer. Pole still in his chest and his heart not even in his body. I guess it's safe to say these vampires can't be killed by a stake. He also doesn't have any fangs like a normal vampire, although he was still trying to bite them. They end up having to bury Charlie alive to stop him from attacking. And just like the Abhartach, he tries to rise from the grave, so they have to put stones on top to hold him down. The only problem is, the stones they used to hold down Charlie was from the cairn. We see blood being drawn from the dead crew member to the cairn. The remaining crew are talking and start to think maybe this really could be a vampire. They also realize that the stones they used to cover Charlie were covering the Abhartach. Just then, the foot of the Abhartach bursts out of the ground. They panic and run to the closest house, the owner of the land, William's father, George. George is acting very suspicious, and they soon find out why. Turns out, he went to the work site to get it shut down. George is the local undertaker. No, not like that. I mean, he deals with dead bodies. Anyway, he brought his son's body home to do the work himself. Except, William didn't stay dead. George put bars on one of the rooms and locked William inside. At first, he was still somewhat intelligent, but hungry. George said he was trying to feed him meat, but he knew that wasn't enough. By the time Eugene sees his friend, he's completely feral, and his teeth do appear to be a bit sharper. So I guess if someone was infected long enough, they would eventually get fangs. George explains that while preparing William, he noticed that there was a piece of the stone inside his cut. It turns out that this vampire virus doesn't spread with a bite. You are turned by the stones on the Abhartach's grave. After learning this, George went to the job site and infected Charlie with one of the stones. His plan was that Charlie would attack the crew and the road would not be built, which means he would get to keep his house. Which is pretty important now because it'd be pretty hard to move when your son is a vampire. The one thing that makes no sense though is how did the Cairn get rebuilt? It never shows George doing it, and I don't think Charlie would do it. My best guess is that even though we don't see George rebuild the Cairn, he must have. Also, why didn't the Abhartach rise the first time the Cairn was destroyed? Well, I think it was because it had been buried underground for thousands of years and hadn't fed. It absorbs the blood from the dead crew member. That's when it bursts from the ground. The group now knows that you can't kill these vampires, so they lure William out and put him in a coffin, nail it shut, and bury him. Unfortunately, his mother and father died in the process though. SP is also fatally wounded while trying to nail him in the coffin. The nails of the vampire are longer than normal and razor sharp. William was able to cut his mother's neck and SP's body like butter. William also had some kind of extrasensory perception. When trying to lure him out of the room, George is hiding around the corner with an axe. Before William runs through the doorway, he suddenly stops as if he knows what's going on. William is still somewhat intelligent too. In order to get him to run through the doorway, William's girlfriend Claire holds Eugene's hand. This causes him to lose control and run through the door. This proves he also still has some memories. As far as we know, these vampires are not affected by garlic, silver, or religious symbols like crosses. A stake to the heart also doesn't work, as we've seen with Charlie. However, it did momentarily stun him. After getting rid of Charlie and William, only 3 of them remain: Eugene, his father Francie, and Claire. While they were dealing with William, the Abhartach was wreaking havoc in town. He approaches a young couple sitting outside, and the boy has a neck injury. When the Abhartach approaches, his stitches burst open, and the blood is drawn to the creature. As he walks around town, all the residents are being drained through their eyes, nose, ears, anywhere that blood can come out of. When this is happening, some people fall into a kind of hypnosis, unable to wake up, but they're not dead. Claire finds her mother in this condition and attempts to save her by driving her as far away as possible while the other 2 go after the Abhartach. I guess she thinks because you start bleeding when the Abhartach is close by, if you could get far enough away, the bleeding might stop. This doesn't seem to be the case though, because no matter how far away she gets, her mother continues to bleed. Eugene says they must still be like this because even though he left, the blood is still following him. It's interesting the way the Abhartach feeds. It's almost like he's using magic, which would match up with the legend. Eugene and his father eventually realize the Abhartach is probably looking for the chief, but obviously he's dead. While in their old family home, Eugene remembers his mother's maiden name is Cairn, and she always said she had chieftain blood. This means that Eugene is the last living descendant of the chief that defeated the Abhartach, so it's not looking good for him. They figure there must be some kind of lair where all the blood is flowing to. All the blood from the town residents seems to be flowing to the same place. Eugene and his father figure the Abhartach must have some kind of lair, and that's where the blood is going. He's killed a lot of people, so they suspect there should be a lot of bones and bodies where the Abhartach used to live. Earlier in the film, Eugene finds a skull under his mother's house. He puts the pieces together and figures out that that must have been where the creature's lair was. Eugene and Francie go to the house and see that the door has been left open. We see the creature is in the basement, right by where Eugene found the skull. It's drawing all the blood from the town through the ground and drinking it. It must be pretty hungry after being buried underground for centuries. Plus, it might need to feed to regain its full strength. I wonder if it fed on enough blood, if it would start to look human again. Eugene and Francie are inside having a heart-to-heart about his mother and how much they miss her. This is when they see the family crest with the name Cairn on it. While talking, Eugene's arm begins to bleed, and Francie's ear as well. They know the Abhartach is close by. Francie says he's gonna be looking for you, cause I suppose you're the big chieftain now. They're hiding in a room upstairs waiting for the Abhartach to come inside. Their plan is to try and sneak up on the Abhartach and decapitate it. Francie doesn't want his son to be killed, so he sucker punches his son and attempts to kill the creature alone. He waits for it to walk by and successfully surprises the Abhartach, swings the axe and cuts its head off. Well, that was pretty easy. Francie wakes up Eugene and tells him that he fainted, but the creature is dead. While the two are talking, we can see the creature's head slide across the floor and reattach to the body. The Abhartach is not only immortal, but truly invincible. Nothing can kill it. Even if you put it through a wood chipper, it would probably just reform like a Necron from Warhammer. I think the Abhartach might be the new strongest vampire. He would definitely be up there with Dracula from Van Helsing, considering he can't die. While Eugene and his father are talking, the Abhartach stands up and enters the room without them noticing. It grabs Francie and throws him into the railing, then picks up the axe and hits his leg. Damn, the Abhartach wanted payback for getting hit with the axe. Eugene runs into the room and hits the Abhartach, knocking it to the ground. Him and his father then jump into the garbage chute that leads outside. The Abhartach was trying to chop through the door with the axe, and it was taking him quite a while. Even when it throws Francie into the railing, it's similar to a very strong human, but not super strong, able to pick up a car or something. The sun is beginning to come up, and their plan is to lure the creature into the sun and hopefully it will burn up. While waiting in the barn, Francie accidentally slips into the area below. This is where Eugene found the skull, the Abhartach's lair. The creature reaches the barn and the sun is about to hit him. Eugene anxiously watches, waiting to see what happens. When the sun finally hits the Abhartach, nothing happens. Well, that was their final plan and it didn't work. Eugene jumps down below to hide Francie, who cannot walk due to his leg. The Abhartach jumps down with superhuman-like agility and begins searching for them. The Abhartach is actually still wielding the axe and swinging it around corners. We get a great look at the creature here. It appears very frail, and the skin is very dark, almost black, as if it's been burnt. Maybe at one point someone tried to set the creature on fire to defeat it, or whatever curse or spell it cast on itself had this effect on its body. Unlike other vampires, the Abhartach does have large fangs. Eugene can't find a weapon to use. He says he needs something to weaken him. That's when Francie suggests using his leg. After all, it's only a leg. Eugene grabs his father's leg and tears it off. The Abhartach hears all the commotion and starts walking toward them with the axe. Before the Abhartach reaches them, Eugene pulls off his dad's leg and stabs the Abhartach through the heart with the bone. This momentarily stuns the creature, allowing Eugene to quickly pile a bunch of rocks and dirt on the creature. Being buried must suppress the creature's magical abilities, because as soon as the Abhartach is covered with the stones, everyone from the town starts to wake up. Eugene, Francie, and Claire survived. Her mother survived as well. After this ordeal, Eugene finally takes his father up on the opportunity to work with him, and we see on the side of the truck, it now says Moffat and Son. Eugene will have to watch over that pile of rocks for the rest of his life, and hope nobody moves them. Eventually, history will probably repeat itself. People will forget about the legend of the Abhartach, and accidentally set it free. That's my video on The Boys from County Hell. I really enjoyed this movie. It had a great mix of comedy and horror. Also, it's not too often you get to see a fresh take on the vampire genre. Using the Irish myth of the Abhartach instead of the traditional vampire made it a lot more interesting to me. I really appreciated that they waited to reveal the creature until the end of the movie. And the practical effects were great. What did all of you think about The Boys from County Hell? Is the Abhartach one of the strongest vampires we've seen? I think so. If there's any other movies or TV shows you want me to cover, leave them in the comments below. I love reading through your suggestions. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe for new videos every week. As always, an extra big thanks to my members for going the extra mile and supporting the channel. Roderick, Zothar's Paradox, Adam Mokabe, Matthew Batson, Dragonfey Rose, Emily Nixon, Onyx Cat, Walter Collin, Dominique Toussaint, Czar Shadow, Rich Sauce, Jason Miller, Gabriel Ragsdale, Steve Lloyd, Jake Walker, Awesome Pea Shooter, Cyper2890, Mark Thorpe, Steven556, Owen Waldish, and Joseph Roman. If you want to become a member, you can click the join button down below. Members get to vote on videos and get early announcements of when videos are coming out. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.